It's the Morning Blitz, 8:38 with Dick and Lewis. Kelly Quinn is out today. She will be back on Thursday. Our pal Neal Parks is in. He's got a lot of stuff going on. It is that time of year.
Got to get Neal kind of music going here.
I was enjoying Murder Was the Case that they gave me, though. That's fun.
You know. Can't go wrong with Snoop. D-O-double-G.
So, you have a new book?
I do. A new book and actually a new comic book on top of that.
The comic looks really cool, dude. You brought this in the first thing. It's the first thing you showed us. It looks legit. It's well done. Like from cover to cover, I was flipping through the artwork. Looks good. Then I found out you did all the artwork. You even put little like old style 50s ads in the middle of the comic. Like it's just really cool. It's a very well done piece of art.
The cover and the ads and the very first comic that's in it, those were done by Jared Depew, owner of Mill City Apparel, Mill City USA in Chillicothe.
Nice.
It was an idea that he and I came up with last year around March, maybe, to do a graphic novel based on a shirt that he created called Chillicothe. And
that's great.
The Chillicothe Creeper.
Yeah.
And we're like, you know what? This would be an insane idea to take stories I've written and do cartoons about them.
Yeah,
comics.
Yeah.
And he and I both have dabbled in that arena for years, so we combined our styles, and he made it happen. He has the equipment and I guess the funding to do it.
That
we
is
made it
cool,
happen.
Man. That is great. Chillicothe. I love it.
That's really cool.
Tales of suspense and horror.
So how did you figure out, because we were talking off the air a little while ago, there are parts of Ohio, I mean, if you get away from the major Cincinnati, Dayton, Cleveland, Columbus, obviously, you get away from the major cities, there's a lot of, like, woods, farm area, like old areas that haven't really kind of caught up as far as development goes. And there's a lot of creepy things in this state. How did you get into where you started discovering all this stuff?
I grew up in one of the creepiest areas in southeast Ohio. It's a small community called Beaver, Ohio.
Oh, I thought you were next door to Lewis.
No, he was on the opposite.
Funny, I was part of a community called Beaver too. Really raised my body count, to be honest.
Yeah. What were you doing with the beavers?
Yeah, you know, saw this book as a child that changed my life.
Was it called Hustler?
No, Will Chamberlain.
Oh,
it was a biopic.
So, growing up in Beaver, there's not a lot to do. Plus, I was an only child. Still am at 49. I'm still an only child. My parents gave up a long time ago.
God.
So
I was going to say at 49, I would imagine you're going to stay one.
I think they're done. So, growing up in Beaver,
Neal, we have an announcement to make.
Yeah, you're going to be a big brother. What are you, Isaac and Sarah from the Old Testament? No, they were the New Testament. Anyway, growing up in Podunk, Pike County, Ohio, that area is known for, increased poverty, starvation, as well as excessive pollution from the uranium enrichment plant. But there are so many weird and out-of-this-world stories that are not really well known throughout the state. We had our own mountain witches down there. You had alleged satanic cults that met at the dunes out in East Jackson.
Yeah, I've heard about them. And then there was the big mass family murders.
Yes, the Roden family out in Latham, the Jasper area.
Yeah.
There was mass murder. It was all due to territory, drugs, and someone making someone else's daughter mad. So there's a strong kinship factor in that region. And if you cross one, you cross them all. So especially Knockemstiff, where I've written about Knockemstiff in my book, Haunted Chillicothe, as well as my new book, Ghosts of Ross County, Ohio. You have to be very careful who you approach, who you talk about what to whom.
Oh, wow.
And you have to know someone who knows someone before you can even set foot in this area. And I grew up around there. And because I sound the way I sound and I look the way I look, they assume I'm city.
Right.
But no, it's just all the phonetics and public speaking classes I got from OU. So I guess I used to have a bit of a Matthew McConaughey twang. I don't remember it, but everyone's like, oh, you used to talk like this sometimes. I don't remember that. So
Well, I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know.
So approaching the people that I grew up with, they're very skittish around me at first, and then they start sharing their stories when we share a common factor like a specific name or a person or a location or a family member, because in Pike County it's all strictly relative.
Then they start to open up.
Yeah, they start to open up. And the things that I have heard from people who've approached me, Even last week, I had a book session at the library in Waverly. They hosted me for an event to promote my new book, and every book I had, I sold. I didn't expect to sell anything because Pike County, extremely impoverished. People don't have $20 here and there to throw for a book, let alone take the time to read a book. But I was surprised, and I was taken aback and felt bad for assuming that. But sold every book I had, answered every question they had. They were extremely satisfied and happy.
Cool.
And they want more.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
when I announced to them that I'm writing a follow-up called Pike County, Ohio, you'd think I lifted the roof off the building. They went nuts with excitement and anticipation and just started like spitting all of these things.
They have stories.
Oh, yeah. They wanted to talk then because a local boy made it big.
Right.
So, and I don't look down on them. And, we could talk to you, buddy.
Yeah,
so
they're
it works out.
They're homeboys.
Yeah.
Two things. Jeremy wants to know if Elizabeth's Grave made the book.
It did.
Did? Okay.
Yes. In fact, it made the graphic novel as well.
Oh, very cool.
Yes.
And second of all,
Oh, it's in the comic book, too.
I
Yes.
see in your graphic novel you have space for ads. If someone hypothetically wanted to maybe put, I don't know, let's take out an ad for their OnlyFans page, would that slide effectively into the comic book? I'm just asking for Blitz Nation.
Sliding in how exactly?
I mean, like, you open, let's say you open up in the center and, oh, wow, there's an OnlyFans ad in the center.
Yeah, that would be fine. I mean,
Okay.
as long as it's not like a centerfold and showing all the goods, because you want them to
want
pay for that.
more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You don't give it all for
And
free.
Maybe feet pics we would
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
Sock covered feet. So now here's my thing too. Has seeing all this stuff made you, what do you hear? Because there are people that either I think believe wholeheartedly that like supernatural things happen and ghosts and all that stuff are real, and then there are people that are just adamant that it's all figments of imagination. It's all because you put yourself in a certain headspace and you think you see things that you don't. What do you say to people that now that you've seen some of this stuff and you've been involved in some of this stuff, like how do you convince people who are naysayers that there are stuff like this that is a real kind of thing and not just a headspace thing?
There's like 3 different types of people that I have encountered from that frame of mind. For example, though I'm very grounded in my Christian faith, and I tie a lot of it into the science behind these encounters and the pseudoscience, the paranormal. And they're like, well, how can you do this and be a Christian? And I'm like, there's nothing more supernatural or paranormal than the birth, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ.
I mean,
and we know damn well God didn't tell us everything.
well, yeah. How if you believe in God, then you kind of have to believe in
believe in the
spirits,
paranormal.
angels.
And especially
Et cetera.
since many scriptures warn about not talking to the dead or communing with the dead. You're not really sure who you're going to commune with. Furthermore, and when you speak about it from a scientific perspective, we have only thoroughly explored a little over 5% of our own bodies of water on our planet. We know more about outer space than we do our own planet. And there are things popping up every day that are seen in massive bodies of water that we can't explain, that we've never seen. And we know that there's more and more that we have never encountered. And people telling stories about water monsters like Champ in Lake Champlain in Vermont and New York, or Nessie in Scotland. There's no doubt that those things truly exist, because you can't be everywhere every time at all points of the day for these things to have a massive amount of water to hide in, and as far as underwater caves and whatnot. Furthermore, you get into the Bigfoot or other cryptid type creatures that are hiding in the wilderness. As far as man goes, we've only thoroughly explored about 47% of the wilderness within our planet. So, sure, there's been a lot of aerial shots and helicopters and drones flying over locations, but as far as man setting foot and walking into these regions or these areas, they've not been thoroughly explored. Yet we think we know it all.
So, Ohio State story for you. If I say the name Billy Milligan, do you know who that is?
Billy Milligan, I believe that was one of the people who drowned.
No.
Okay.
He's the Ohio State rapist from 1977.
Billy Milligan.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I can't say I do.
I was in high school, and I will never forget this because I forget where I was. It might have been one of those like youth conferences or whatever, and they had a survivor from the campus rapes that happened in the 70s, the late 70s. And she was talking on the stage, and she was telling her story. And I'm paraphrasing, and forgive me if I get this wrong, because I'm not trying to. But she was sitting down, and she said that when she had walked across the campus that night, she knew that the rapist was a thing because everybody was terrified at the time. And she said that she knew she had to get from, I think it was like one of the libraries or wherever, back to her dorm. And she kept hearing like someone was following her. And she said she didn't know what else to do, but she sat on a bench where there was a light, and she sat underneath the light, and she said she bowed her head and prayed. And Billy Milligan actually ran by her, stopped and looked, and kept going. And then a few minutes later, she heard the sirens or whatever. And as she was walking out where she saw towards the lights where they had caught him, she said, she's like, she's like, that's the guy that ran by me. And he's like, well, if you saw her sitting there by yourself, why didn't you do anything to her? And he goes, I wasn't going to touch her with that big guy standing next to her.
That's her?
That's her.
I've heard that story 1,000 times. I had no idea that was about Billy Milligan.
But she had said, like, the idea was that it was an angel that had came down and went, nah, dude, don't even think about it.
I have heard that.
Which is kind of wild.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
that was here.
Yeah.
So,
Car Audio Thomas says, what's the author's name? I want his books. That is Neal Parks.
Neal Parks joins us to talk about Chiller Coffee, his new book, and the other stuff that he's got going on. And
now that's the comic, right? Chiller Coffee.
Yeah.
And then what's Ross County book called exactly?
Ghosts of Ross County.
Ghost of Ross
You can
County.
actually find that at any Barnes & Noble in Columbus right now. I mean, I've gone mainstream, it feels like, compared to
that's the goal, right?
Yeah. My other works were independently published, of course, but this one, Ghosts of Ross County, is from History Press and Arcadia Publishing.
All right. Tristan texted in and said, is the Ouija board legit?
Well, does a nail go into the wood without a hammer? That's the way you have to look at it. It's a tool. It can also be used as a game. Now, when you drive a nail into the wood with a hammer, you can just tap it lightly. It goes in just a little. But if you really want to drive that nail, you got to hit it hard. Same with the Ouija board. What are your intentions? What do you plan for the outcome to be?
I want to communicate with the other side. So what's the difference?
It can happen.
Okay.
It is entirely possible depending on your intentions, your state of mind, and who you get on the other line. It's a party line.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. You got to look at it like that. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's just call up and chat with somebody. We don't know who we're going to get.
My luck, I'd get like the Napoleon Dynamite of the party.
Well, what's wrong with that? That'd be great, man.
Gosh.
He'll bring you a delicious bass.
Why don't instead of go out, why don't you just stay here and practice your sweet dance moves?
No. Germ tots.
Oh, my gosh. Doug said his mom worked at Urbana University and swears she had a paranormal experience in the building there.
Isn't Ohio University?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes, we have I'm still there. When I attended back in the early 2000s and late 90s, there was the former, I'll call it what it was, an insane asylum, which was used at one point as a tuberculosis clinic as well. And they moved in the 70s and 80s when it was deemed inhumane to do electroshock therapy and the things they were doing to people in mental institutions. They then started moving them into old folks' homes, which there are some residents that I've encountered in past dealings that were residents at one time at the Ridges. And they were not normal folk, unfortunately, with what the trauma was they experienced.
Wow, man. Time always flies by. We're up against a break. Been great having you in again. It is your time of year. I hope you have an awesome Halloween. And one more time, where can I get the book and the graphic novel?
Graphic novel you can get online at Mill City Apparel.
And that's Chiller Coffee.
Chiller Coffee.
Yep.
And my new book is Ghosts of Ross County, Ohio. You can get it at any major retailer, including Target, Walgreens, Walmart, and Barnes & Noble. Amazon, of course.
And next year we'll get Ghosts of Pike County,
Ohio.
And I'm still waiting to meet a ghost, so if you got a good place, Lewis, we need to go.
We need to go on a ghost hunt.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
I would love to go on a ghost hunt again. I've done it before. It's fun.
Because I've never seen one. ever in my
You've
life.
never felt
I've never
any kind of a presence?
I've never
or-
had that experience.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like, I want to. I really do. I think I
You
want,
want to. You
But-
want to meet the right kind.
I just want to know.
I want a
just
cool ghost.
Something.
I don't want to free the one that's pissed off at the world and is coming after me.
Right.
I want the.
Oh,
you
well,
want the
she won't be back till Thursday.
You want the James Dean ghost.
Yeah, I want.
James
Yeah.
Dean
The
ghost.
Elvis ghost.
Yeah, the cool
Not the
ghost.
fat
That can
Elvis.
vibe with me. Yeah, I want
Yeah.
skinny Elvis before
Skinny
the,
Elvis ghost.
back in the old days.
All right. Well, hopefully we can hook that up sometime. But have a great Halloween. Thanks for coming in. man.
Thanks so much for having me again.